Hey everybody, welcome to Cypher Sistas. We're not back to the regularly scheduled program, but we're doing our best. Life is life in right now, so we getting it in when we can fit it in. We hope you can join us. If not, we hope that you catch the rebroadcast and just enjoy yourselves. So what's up, Malika? What you smoking on today?
This is some cereal milk, baby. No, cereal, baby. Y'all don't know nothing about that. That's an old song.
Cereal, baby, milk. I know
Yeah.
that play with Vito.
Hey. So that's what I'm smoking on.
So
And
for me today,
I'm gonna pull up the hydrants. Do you have yours already, or?
so I'm not smoking anything in this particular moment. Because this is gonna be a smokeless site for me because the babies are definitely around and they ain't giving me no space. Like last week, I had a little space, but today they're not playing. So Mama has infused her coffee.
Yum, 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 yum.
And that's what I'm drinking on.
Hey, there's nothing wrong
But
with an infusion.
huh?
I said there's nothing wrong with an infusion. Infusion is the
Exactly,
best
because
thing.
I'm here. I'm still a part of the Sife baby, just in a different way. I also, but the strain I'm smoking on this week is called Donnie Burger.
Mm.
Um, and it's pretty good. I went through it pretty fast,
Oh.
so that should tell you how much I was enjoying it.
Wait, is
Because
that what you bought this weekend that I totally missed out on?
yeah, you
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
Honestly, I was thinking about that perp, and I was like, dang, I couldn't have appreciated that because of what we was doing.
Yeah.
So Malika and I were making infusions, and I was already done for. So I would not have been able to appreciate any of the flavors that she had provided for the site we were in while we were getting it in the infusion space.
So look, y'all, I bought up my cereal milk, man, and then I'm gonna go to her Donnie Burger in a minute. All right, so that's the cereal milk. Ooh. Right? So the cereal milk is a hybrid, right?
Mm-hmm.
A high THC. It's energized. It's kind of in the middle. So it gives me relaxed, giggly, aroused, vanilla, butter, and sweet. And I taste the vanilla and the sweetness. So it's
Oh,
really
okay.
good. Yeah, yeah.
I
And then the
think
one
I've
that
had
you're
cereal
smoking,
milk before.
you
I think I
probably
have
have.
had it before.
And you said you're smoking on Donnie Burger.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe I'm spelling it wrong. Tonnie.
I put ZONNY. It came up when I searched it. Let me see if I can find it on my iPad. I wrote it down in my notes somewhere, but I have no idea where. And because I'm not smoking, I didn't even think about it.
See?
That's terrible, right? I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. Life is
Yeah,
life
I'm
in
not
me.
pulling it up. Hey, man, that's just what's happening. That's just what's happening. Life is life in all of us this week. Some crazy shit jumping off, man. Some crazy
For
stuff.
real. But
So,
while I'm doing that, why don't you get into legislation for this week? I'll
all
look
right,
it up
cool.
because you the one with the info.
All right. So, DEA agents were sent back to the U.S. after Australian federal police complained to the U.S. ambassador about the investigation methods that they're using in Australia. So, I think we probably need to calm down. You know what I'm saying?
Sorry, y'all. I hate this
We all gun
one.
ho out there in the rest of the world, and we kicking down doors and shit. But maybe we need to slow down a little bit and do it a little.
I
You
mean,
know,
but
I,
we kicking down doors in our own country, so that's just
yeah. But that's the
we
problem. Like
bullies.
the U.S. True. So like what was I going? Ah, I was watching this episode of Well, I was watching a documentary on interrogation tactics, and the U.S. still uses interrogation tactics that are like horrible, right?
Torture.
They they
Mm-hmm.
torture. They keep people
Yeah.
up all night. They lie during investigation techniques in order to coerce a confession.
Confession. Mm-hmm.
So the things that they do in the rest of the world, they've stopped doing it. Even in the UK, like you get breaks between during interrogations. You get a meal. Like you get shit that you don't get over here. Over here, people wind up laying on the floor trying to go to sleep because they're so tired. And then a lot of these, and a lot of, especially with the younger children, and I only go here to say, like, for Australia doing that, that's a big deal because now the rest of the world is starting to see how brutal we are as a country when it comes to stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So it's crazy out there. So anyway, that's what happened. Um, let's see what else is going on. And I'm sorry, you guys. I was a little. I'm usually a lot more prepared, but again, life happened this week, and so we're kind of in the middle of some
Well, back
bullshit.
to Donnie Burger then. Since you're looking, I got Donnie up. All right. Donnie is a hybrid, of course, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a sativa dominant, which explains a lot. I was getting it done, and that's probably why I was going hot, hitting it, because I was just I've been busy this week, and last week, because yeah, I've had this strain for about a week. Um, but it's 20 to 28% THC.
All right.
It's supposed to, it's a full body high, boost the mind, relax the body. Agree.
Nice, nice, nice.
It's just a good overall strain, and everything that is said. If you guys are interested, go ahead and look it up. But it pretty much hits the way it says.
And what did you use to look yours up really quick?
My iPad.
Oh, but I mean your app. What's the app? Because we haven't mentioned the
Oh,
apps that we use.
I haven't I didn't do it on the app. I googled it. I
Oh,
just
I
put
got
it in Donnie Burger strain,
Okay. Well,
and
I
then
use
it pulls up, all of the like places where I can reference it, and
Okay.
I choose my favorite. You already know, All Bud. Hold on one
All Bud is
moment.
what she uses.
I'm
We
still
is what
here.
I
Keep
use.
talking.
No worries. All right. So just to jump back in this ledge stuff, right? So Vermont. I'm sorry, guys. 0906. There we go. So Vermont generated $800,000 in cannabis tax revenue in December alone. So that's a big deal, especially since that's when they kind of started doing it, right?
Yeah,
Um,
that is a big deal.
there's not a ton of stuff
Look at
happening.
Rocky in the back.
Yeah. Oh, you can see him. Did he
Yeah.
jump up?
No, I just saw his ears. I'm sorry.
Oh, give me that. He has to go. Yeah, he's got a treat. Oregon just posted a list of active retail marijuana licenses, and so that's pretty important, right?
That's really
Uh,
awesome.
yeah. So there's not a ton that came across my desk this week.
Hmm.
There was nothing that really jumped out. Currently, there are
Right.
890 cannabis bills out there, or psychedelic and cannabis bills in Congress and the legislations for the 2023 sessions, and 19 of the bills will be heard today. Right, so we'll keep pushing along and keep letting you guys know what's going on in the rest of the world. And yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what's up.
yep.
That's
Okay,
what's up.
there we have it. Yeah.
I mean, not every week is gonna be filled with like big changes in government, as
True
far as
facts,
cannabis
true
goes.
facts.
So
No
it's
matter how much
okay.
we want it to be, right? Like we want,
Exactly.
like every week, I'm looking for it to be like federally approved. Yay! But yeah, it's a slow train.
Oh my god, this is bugging me so much. I could see it on the camera. Ruth had cornstarch on her body. It got on my shirt at the last minute. I don't have time to change.
That's all right. That's all right. This is
Y'all don't be
life.
judging me. Anyways,
Nobody saw it till you pointed it out. Shit.
I know, but I can see it on the camera. And it's bugging the crap out of me. Anyways, um, so let's talk about it. Let's get into hot topics because oh, all over the place. But the main thing I want to talk about, because it was like two different people brought up the same topic but in a different way. So the tweet was like about how teen girls, like there's more teen moms than teen dads,
Man,
right?
what's up with that,
And
man?
immediately it was super visceral because I'm like, how the hell could that be possible? But when you
Mm.
finish the tweet, it talks about how most of the teen moms, the fathers of their babies, are grown ass men.
But are they single teen moms or is it just in general teen moms?
It's just and
In general.
the I guess the data was just about teen moms in general,
Wow.
which it doesn't matter if they're single or not.
No.
teen
I just
mom.
wondered if. Well, I was just wondering if the guys were participating and taking care. Because if you had a teenage boy, it would probably be a lot harder. You know what I mean? If you're both
Hmm.
teenage and he's in school and you're in school, it's harder for one of y'all to quit the job in order or quit school in order to get a job. But as a grown man, that's why I was asking if they're actually taking care of their responsibilities, or are they just leaving the girls high and
I
dry.
mean, I don't really. I mean, I get that, but I feel
Yeah,
like that
that's
is
the
like
only reason I asked the
that's a
question.
second.
But yeah.
That's a secondary even concern. My concern is grown ass men having relations with teenage girls. Okay.
But can I ask about the statistic? And I know I'm digging a little deeper, but I guess my question's along the lines of if you're like 20, you're considered once you hit 18, you're considered grown. So are any of these girls like on the cusp, like 18ish, or are we talking about like 13-year-old girls having babies with like 25-year
They're
old
not
dudes?
talking about 18 because that's not considered a teenage. That's not considered
But a
technically a teenager.
17-year-old is, and a 16-year-old.
Yeah,
You
but
know what I'm saying?
that's still a
But if you're
teenager.
like, but if you're 18 and you're dealing with a 17-year-old, I'm not really that disgusted with you. But if you're
Okay, so I feel like you're totally completely like it's almost like that attitude is like completely taking attention off of the main thesis.
no,
And
if the
that
main
is
thesis is, but I
full
think that
grown
we have to
men
look at,
are
yeah.
out here having sex with young girls and getting them pregnant. And it's still a normal. We normalize it. Even your attitude about kind of like it's like kind of
Well,
a little
if they're close to the same age, I don't think that's a bad attitude to have, because I don't think that
I
you should be
do.
locking an 18-year-old up if he's
I
dealing
do.
with a 17-year-old.
Oh my God, that's not who I'm talking about. Why do you keep
But
bringing
that's
it
what
back
I'm
to that
saying.
demographic? I'm
That
talking
but
about
that
adult men in their 30s and 40s. That's what I'm talking
however,
about. You keep bringing it
okay,
back
so
to
if we're
teenage
talking
men,
about
and
30s
we're
and
not
40s,
talking about that at all.
okay, all
That's
right.
their peer. You're getting pregnant by your peer. An 18-year-old and a 17-year-old, they're peers.
Yes, but
That's
one is
not the same
considered an
thing. That's
adult,
not what
one
I'm.
is considered a teenager, and so that's why I was
That's
asking
not
the question,
what I'm
because I
talking
wanted to
about.
make sure that we were on the same page along that lines. Yes, I feel like if it's a 30-year-old dealing with the
But I said
18-year-old
that like
girl,
five
then
times
yeah,
that I
that's a
was
problem.
talking about a 30 or 40-year-old man. Like
Okay,
I think I've
go
made
ahead.
that pretty
30 or
clear.
40-year-old men. Okay, so what are the statistics on this stuff? What is it? Just that we're seeing a lot of it? I mean,
Oh my God.
because
You
I don't see it
totally
in my
like
neighborhood.
hijacked my whole you didn't even let me finish what I was trying to
Go ahead,
say.
go ahead, go ahead.
Oh my God, bruh. It's fine. It's fine. You're being a very you in your
Go
Virgo
ahead,
ness.
go with the story. Go ahead,
I'm,
go ahead.
excuse me, Virgo. Thank you. Anyways, the other side of it that I was trying to touch at, which would have fully embodied the age group that I was specifically going after and specifically trying to highlight, was a lot of people are tweeting about how Marcus Houston and his wife, basically he groomed her to be his wife. So he met her when she was 12. They got married when she turned 19,
Mm,
and they've been married for 3 years.
mm.
And these are the situations that I'm talking about, and those type of relationships is where the data was pulled from.
Gotcha.
Okay,
That's
so
why I was
that's where
asking,
I'm
because
going. They
I didn't.
weren't, but you didn't, but you would never had to ask those questions if you had just let me finish what I was trying to
Go
say.
ahead, go ahead.
I'm already done. Go ahead, ask your questions now.
Oh, I've already asked them. So Marcus Houston is the one that's
This
doing
why
this.
Cypher Sisters need one of the sisters need to not be stoned. But anyways,
Unfortunately, I'm not. I'm not stoned. I puffed on this maybe twice today, but outside of that, I've been
but
busy this morning. Yeah,
let's get back to it, right?
yeah.
I feel like that focus on this, like, oh, well, how old are they? Like, you know what I mean? All right, I'm gonna give y'all a quick story, right? it's not really something I talk about very often, but when I was 18, I was in a relationship with a 31-year-old who knew me since I was 16 years old. And it was a very tumultuous and terrible experience.
Yeah.
Okay. And when I look back on it as a grown woman now, I realized that that nigga definitely preyed on me, definitely waited till I was legal, definitely was inappropriate. Like so many things. And that shit is overlooked and normalized within our culture and our community. And it needs to effing stop. And that's all I was trying to say because that tweet really took me out. Because I'm like, people's reactions to the tweet was really took me out because they're like, oh, well, these girls are out here being grown. Like, what? How grown do you like? How about these niggas is out here being juvenile? Why is the responsibility on the child
It shouldn't
to
be.
be
It
the
really
adult in
shouldn't
this
be.
situation?
It shouldn't be.
That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the responsibility should be on the adult. And no, I agree with you. I mean, the only reason I was asking the question is because I've seen situations where guys have actually done time or gotten caught up in statutory rape, and there's like a 2 year difference. Like the kid is right there on the cusp, about to be of the legal age, and the parents just
Mm-hmm.
go insane. Now, on the flip
Oh
side, you're
yeah,
right.
I
You're right.
definitely see situations like that, but that was the
But
no,
that's
that
not what
wasn't
you're
what I
talking about. What you're talking about
yeah.
is 30, 40-year-old guys going after these young children. And yeah, so why is it so
I mean,
normalized?
even our beloved Bob Marley, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He had a little one of his children's baby moms was 16 when he got what?
Mm.
And he was a full grown ass
And
man.
that's disgusting. That's disgusting because
And
had it
that's
been his daughter,
normal in our culture, especially Caribbean culture. Trust me, there's many of uncle and men in my family who I just be giving a side eye because I'm like, yeah, I seen you. Uh,
yeah, with these young kids, yeah,
that's the culture. Everybody be like, oh, no big deal. Like, it's a big deal.
it
It's
is.
a
It
big deal.
really is. Now, let me ask you this, okay? And I'm playing devil's advocate. So I'm
Go
not
ahead,
saying that
because
the
you
young.
love to.
Go ahead. What? I'm sorry, I missed the part.
I said, go ahead, because you love to.
Yeah, I have to. I have to. I mean, that's the only way to be a good journalist, right? You got to look at both sides. So,
Excuse me. Excuse me.
if you're playing devil's advocate, I mean, well, I lost my train now. Forget it. Don't worry about it. It's gone. There was too much. It's gone.
I think it'll come back to you later. And
It
that's
may.
okay.
If not, it's not a big deal.
That's okay. That's a okay, So there's some really good news that I was looking at. There are a lot of Black people making their way and creating great niches and avenues in the cannabis industry. Like they making their way, creating really great businesses. And so I just wanted to, give people talk about the cool, different um, businesses that I've seen so far that aren't like your because whenever people think about cannabis businesses, they think about people who grow or sell, right? But
Hmm.
they don't think about the ancillary side, which is a big booming side of the cannabis industry, where people are bringing like the talents that they already have and then putting that and blending it with the cannabis industry. So, for instance, people who were CPAs in the past, just like regular accountants, are now bringing their expertise to the cannabis industry, and it's taking off because they know so much about the laws and all of that and the taxes. And a lot of people who have businesses don't know about, you know what I'm saying? So that definitely will take off. We got people, of course, making edibles and beverages, but I love the brother who got the Airbnb going. That is so dope.
Since you're
What's
around,
up?
you want to join in, King Payne?
Yeah, what's up? Come through.
For real. Go ahead. Keep going. I'm gonna send
Um,
him the info.
huh?
I'm gonna send him the
Oh,
info.
you're
Keep
sending
going.
him the
I
text.
didn't
Okay,
mean to
sorry.
interrupt you.
I got a little distracted. I'm having a brain freeze moment where I lost my train of thought too. Crap.
Yeah,
Okay,
it
so
keeps happening to both
ancillary.
of us. So you were
I
talking about the
know.
edibles, right? Maybe it's too much. No, too too much too early. That tea is hooking you up.
It's coffee, girl. It's coffee.
Oh,
Honestly,
that
I'm
that
just
may be the problem. The coffee, the hypeness of the caffeine, mixed in with the cannabis. So you gotta got
maybe,
yeah. I'm
maybe. Oh
not a
my god,
problem. I'm not gonna say
I'm
that's the problem. There's no problem. That may be what's happening, is what I meant to say. No problem.
no, it's honestly, this is the first time that the honey kicked in before the coffee did. Usually
Oh,
it's the
word.
reverse. And like later on in the afternoon, all of a sudden I'm just mad high and I'm like, what the hell? So
Mm,
that's weird, but I guess it's fine. Okay, so just really quickly, I just wanted to say that I was just sharing that information because I wanted to encourage everybody to, if you're interested in getting into the cannabis industry, which I encourage all Black people, it's a great way to do something beneficial to your community. And it's a
facts.
great way to kick in the doors and make space for other Black people and people of color to find their way in the industry as well. So if you have a good idea, and take your idea and run with it. That's what all these other people are doing. We need more Black people in the industry. That was my spiel. Thank you.
That's what's up. No, we definitely need more people in the industry, especially people of color, because it's easier to go in. I feel more comfortable talking to somebody that looks like me about something that is ailing me. You know what I mean? And so, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you. I agree with you so much that yeah, we definitely need to start making our marks in the industry, and you don't have to especially in states where it's legal, right? It's not like there's a stigma on it either, and I've gone through some of these dispensaries, and it's the blue-haired old white ladies that are going up in there with me, you know what I'm saying? Hey man, hey, I'm saying that to say that those back in the day, it was those people that may have looked down on it, thinking that it was only an African American or a minority type thing, but
Mm-hmm.
now
Mm-hmm.
it's expanding and the rest of the world is getting involved. Like, who would have thought?
You're
I was
you're
sitting there,
freezing.
oh, I'm sorry. Am I still frozen?
No, it's okay. You're good
Yeah,
now. Sometimes you freeze. I don't know why.
I think it may just be my connection, man. It's some bad stuff happening, I guess. It's been going like that on a couple of the shows, so I don't know. But like,
It's
yeah,
okay.
I was standing outside talking to a retired colonel at one point. Hey, thanks for joining us, daughter of the Most High God. We appreciate you. Thank you. King Payne, thanks for the shout out, bruh. Loving you. Yeah. So what I was getting to is I was standing outside talking to a colonel, and he was talking about how he was retired obviously, but how he was indulging, and it's just nice to see the stigma dropping on it, and so that and so
Yeah.
for us, let's not continue to hold that stigma because we've embraced it for so long. Let's
Mm-hmm.
uplift and continue to promote and do it in a way where we can forward our businesses.
Yeah, exactly. I agree
Yeah.
with you. I agree
Yeah.
with you. And that's exactly what we need. We need to grow. We need to create way more space for us in the industry. 2%. That's not enough. That's not enough, y'all. That's not enough.
That's not enough.
Not when we out here giving. We're the biggest consumers. Ain't no way. Ain't no way that money should not be going back to us. And I'm
Facts.
tired. And designer strains, it's not the only way that we can be a part of the conversation, y'all.
Well,
Okay.
look. So I was online in a group, and somebody local to my area was looking at somebody that could make a complete infused meal.
That's what's up.
So, like local chefs and things like that. If you guys are out there, drop your info. Let us know. Let
Yeah,
us
for
know where you
real.
guys are located and things like that. We'll promote you. We'll
And
definitely
what
share
you can
your information
do.
and
Because
what you
there's
can
a
do.
lot that you can do, for real.
Yeah, we'd
I love
love to
a good
start hearing
infused
about you
meal.
guys' businesses and things like that, so that we can promote, and we'll also love to support, depending on what it is, because you never know what we're looking for. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. Definitely
So,
agree.
and
100%.
speaking of gifts and things like that, let's jump into Galentine's before we go into the healthy ways to end a
I'll
relationship.
go first.
All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
So Malika, my gal, one of my number one gals,
Hey, boo boo.
me these two really awesome gifts for Valentine's Day. And Valentine's Day is just a special day for sisters who care about each other to just say, "Hey, gal, you're my gal, and I love you," in a
Hey,
way that represents them. So she knows I love cooking and I love infused cooking, and we can't wait to get into this book together. So, thank you.
yay! You're very welcome. You're very welcome. What's up, established? Happy belated to you, fam. Happy
Thank
writing.
you. Thank
Thank
you.
you so
That was
much.
87. Thanks, y'all. That's what's up, y'all. Thank you for coming through.
Yeah, man, we're loving all the support. So look, this is what I got. I got earrings. So I had sent her like these earrings, and I was like, oh my god, I need some of these. And so she got me these little earrings, or she
I
made me
made them, guys.
these little earrings. Now I'm wondering if this is break in case of an emergency. Is this, you know what I'm saying?
You
So
can. You can.
see, see,
That
see.
is
So I'm
definitely.
I'm representing at all times, y'all. I'm representing at all times. So my break in case of emergency. So I mean, what did I tell you guys? The best gift to ever give me is actual bud, and that is what I have in these beautiful earrings right here. But I also got this Galentine's Gals cup. And so I will be using this during our shows to be able to promote what my sister got me. And I appreciate it. Everything was wonderful. And it was nothing but love.
I
And
feel the same way, girl. I
it
feel
was
the
awesome. It
same
was
way.
awesome. And it's nice to finally get gifts, girl.
Malika, let's
What's up?
get into the main topic.
Well, wait, before we do that, I just want to jump into two more of these comments. The daughter of the Most High God said, I graduated with a degree in civil engineering and a minor in math in 2021. There is still so much more that I want to do. Amen to that. I want to help our people. Yeah, man. I'm actually thinking about going back to school and getting my degree in therapy so that I can be able to assist our folks in that way. Because I think that, you know, as I'm coming up on towards the latter part of my career lifespan, I want to do something that's going to make me happy and make me feel fulfilled. And you guys know I'm always pushing mental health as a big deal and something that we need to make sure that we're taking care of at all times. I mean, self-care, self-help, all of those things are big deals for us here on Cypher Sistas. And so that's kind of why I want to get into that field, because I want to be able to make sure that I'm able to go back out there and help. As you guys know, or you may or may not know, we mentioned this during a couple of our last episodes. Our sister Rachel Selah over here is a doula. So she helps you during the birthing process and everything. And so if any sisters out there are pregnant and want to find out information about going back and or want to find out information about how to successfully birth or going through the process, you need to talk to her because she's got some great tips and some great feedback and some things that she'd be able to share with you. And she'd be there along the way with you through the process. I'd let her speak to if she's able to give like online kind of doula counseling, or if she would rather do it in person. I'm sure in person is probably the best way to do it, especially when you're having a child. But she also does that type of thing. And I don't know if she heard me, but I was
I
doing a
did not hear
promo
anything you said.
for your doula because I was telling them I'm going back to school to become a therapist. And I was talking about your doula and how you're giving back to the community that way. If you want to just do a short little plug on that, make sure I didn't screw it up.
Oh, okay. So, actually, yes, I am a doula. I've been a doula for about 11 years. And now that my youngest baby is of the age where I could be on call, I'm going back to my practice. And, my goal always was to improve Black maternal mortality rates, meaning help Black women not die in the hospital when they go there to have their babies. And that comes through, bridging the gap between the providers and the birthing team. You know, have having a doula helps to maintain your autonomy because they can advocate for you when you're in a quiet and vulnerable space of being in labor. They can hold the space and make sure your birth plan at least is seen through, meaning if you don't want vaginal checks all the time, because that's something that happens to birthing women, doctors come in and they want to check you to see how dilated you are constantly, and it's not okay if you don't want it, because it can change your body, you make you tense, and then that has an effect on how long you're laboring. All these things have an effect on the outcome of your labor, and it needs to be considered. And that's my mission and my goal, to just improve the outcomes of Black women's birth, because my first birth was the most traumatic experience of my life, and I almost died, and so did my son. So I don't feel like Black women should have to go through, and I didn't even know that I could even speak up at the
Yeah,
time. And
yeah.
I mean, it was traumatic from the beginning of the labor to the birth of my son, to bring him home 5 days later. Like,
Wow.
and I became a doula because I'm like, nobody should have to go through that type of experience, because it also speaks to your how you're going to mother your child, because you're traumatized. it
Right.
it hinders your ability to connect with your child if you don't receive the proper support and healing that you need. And all of these things need to be considered, and that comes from the work of somebody who is in the trenches. Other doulas, other birth workers are doing the work, so support them. Recommend your birthing person to a doula. Medicaid covers it, and most insurance covers it, and you can be reimbursed for your doula services. You, like, if you hire a doula, you can be reimbursed through your insurance. So now there's no excuse for anyone not to have a doula.
Facts,
That's been my
facts.
spiel.
Uh, Check out this comment Established said, because I'm going to jump around in some of these comments. I know some were
Go
posted
ahead,
after
go
and before
ahead.
this, but he says, stop these Black women from laying on their back and pushing the baby out. It should
Agree.
be
I
better.
never
Got to be better techniques. Yeah, there
I
should be
never
better techniques.
encourage women to when they're in labor to lay down, and that's what, unless that's how they feel comfortable. Most don't feel comfortable. That's how most tears happen.
Yeah, yeah. And then the daughter of the Most High God
Goodness.
says, you want to read it?
I'm
Go for it.
sorry that your cousin had to go through that. She says, I'm loving this already. My cousin's baby passed at birth. This is
Wow.
why I thought about becoming a midwife. I want to help. If you can, sis, I think you should definitely, if you're passionate about it, because being a midwife is it's all encompassing, and it's exhausting work. It's exhausting
Yeah.
and rewarding. I've seen the none of the midwives that I know are in it for the money. Let's put it like that. You know what I
Facts.
mean?
Facts.
But I thank the Most High for the midwives who were there for me. Even my last midwife, who she was like, I don't know what I can do to help you, but whatever you need, we're gonna have the birth that you need. And she was able to get my birth covered under Medicaid. And this was during the pandemic. I had my baby right up in my house. And
Facts.
so I'm just committed to the same level of commitment that my midwife showed to the work, because Medicaid didn't pay her. I mean, keep it a bean. Medicaid did not pay her what the real fee was. They paid her the standard fee that Medicaid outlined, but she was willing to take that L for me. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I mean when I say they're not in it for the money. They in it because they love
At
what they
all.
do. They in it because they understand we need them. We need
Facts.
them.
Facts. And we need more midwives out there. So, daughter of the Most High God, please go back to school. Get that. Because there are things that we need in our community that are just basic things. I'm going to jump back to a comment that Established in 87 said, and that jumps back to what I was talking about going back to school. I mean, it's a shame that, unfortunately, being Black in America automatically gives you PTSD, right? Because the way we interact with the police, the way we interact with anybody, that is not of our community is very different. We're scared. We interact with them in a way where sometimes we're louder, sometimes our defense mechanisms come to play, right immediately when we're interacting with somebody that we're uncomfortable with. And we have a right to be traumatized, because that's all this country has given us thus far. And so, yes, we do need to start taking care of those things that make us so traumatized in order to start to address and be better people. And so it takes us, because unfortunately it takes that first step to go and get that mental health. Unfortunately, what winds up happening is, if we don't get that mental health, we have that trickle down effect, right? You ever hear that phrase, shit rolls downhill? Well, what winds up happening is we start taking it out on our mates, we start taking it out on our children, we start taking it out on the people that are in our community to help uplift and build us. And if we don't get that, if we don't have that ability to be able to take that step to come back and say, okay, you know what? These are some of the tools that I've learned in my toolkit from going to therapy. These are some of the things that I can do to address some of the things that have got me on edge right now. And these things will help me take that step back so that we can be better parents, better spouses, better friends, better lovers, better whatever that we want to be in our community. So it's unfortunate that there's a stigma, but I think the taboo and that stigma is slowly starting to erode. And so I think that, I talk to a lot of my girlfriends, and it's easy for us to be like, yeah, I can't talk to you during from 2 to 3 because I got therapy. And it's not anything that's just for the rich anymore. It's
Mm-hmm.
not anything that's just for white people anymore. It's something that we all can benefit from, because
Yeah.
sometimes we do need that sounding board of that person that we can talk to, that is non-judgmental, that doesn't have a dog in our fight, to be able to give us an objective opinion. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's why I totally advocate for therapy. And while I was running off at the mouth, I actually missed out on a lot of comments. And so look up the Temple of Isis. They have birthing rituals on the wall that showing gravity during most of the work. Check it out. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, so I
That
wanted to
processes
comment
your
about that. I mean, most indigenous cultures, all cultures really dating back, have their own rituals and own practices that made birth bearable for the women who were giving birth. But when gynecology became a practice that men interfered with, everything changed because they don't understand. I mean, I don't even
well,
get me
men
started
aren't having
on the
babies.
father of gynecology and the how gynecology was built on the bodies of black women.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And how they experimented on us and everything in order to find out how to further the practice, and a lot of things were not taken into account, especially if it's coming from a dude. Like, no offense to brothers, but like, how can you tell me how my body's supposed to work?
Fact,
So
fact. It's funny. It's like what one of my uh one of my gynecologists said. She was a lady, and she said, I don't understand how I don't understand male gynecologists, because I'm like, how can a mechanic, how can you be a mechanic and you can't drive a car? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't
mm,
make sense. You know what I mean? You don't have these parts. You don't know what they feel like. You don't know what we're experiencing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So you can't tell me how my cycle is affecting me or things like that, because you know you don't know. You haven't been there. You don't know. You just don't know. Awesome. So you're in Houston, and they ask if you want midwives. That's a beautiful thing. I wish I had the opportunity to have a midwife or a doula during the time that I had my daughter. Unfortunately, at that time, my ex-husband was in the military, and so when I had my daughter, we had to go to the military hospital. And I always joke about how the doctors in the military get their their licenses out of a bubblegum machine, even though, knock on wood, they've been taking care of me, or they have taken care of me back in the past. But yeah, so my daughter actually had to be had without epidural, without anything, and I had to have pitocin in order to induce her. And so that was very, very hard. It was very painful. By the time I put the epidural, it was really too late. The doctor laughed at me, and so I had to have it like naturally my own way. And so yeah,
And
I
I'm mad
can't.
that the doctor even laughed at you, but like,
Yeah, because I asked too late. I did. I did. I was trying to be a trooper, and I was like, you know what? Women have been doing this for ages. I don't see why I can't do it. I am no weaker than
because you
them.
didn't know that that's not how contractions normally feel, and I was right there with
Yes,
you. Them pitocin contractions
they are
is a
horrible.
seize your whole body type of
Yeah,
contraction. It's not the
yeah.
same as normal contractions. Trust me, you had every right to that epidural.
Yeah, yeah, but honestly, because they scared the shit out of me prior to getting the epidural, right? So they told me I could be
Mhm.
paralyzed, like if I moved a little bit. So they tell me, and again, these are my friends. There's going to be a needle about this long, and they're going to stick that up your back. And if you move just a little bit, you can be paralyzed for the rest of your life. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to take it the hard way. Let's just go, because people have been doing it, and I'm going to do this, and while it was painful and while it was unfortunate, I got to say the blessing at the end of that was the most wonderful thing that I've ever experienced in my life. But you shouldn't have to go through that pain in order to get there, right? So Yeah. She also said a midwife, it literally takes a certification. I spent 5 years in engineering school, so why not? Amen to that, sister.
Go ahead.
Listen,
I look forward to you practicing, daughter of the Most High God. I
yes,
really do.
yes. And would definitely love to have you come on board and talk to us about the process if you don't mind. Um,
Absolutely. I would love to hear about your journey.
and let's keep going. I agree, you have to have a passion for it. Yeah. I mean, honestly, even with therapy, right? I'm not gonna make millions of dollars going back to school for that. I'm probably gonna wind up shucking out more than I'll make. But at the end of the day, it's a passion and it's something that is a calling. I feel like it's a calling for me, and you may be feeling like the midwifery is a calling for you. And so I think that that would be great. We need more people of color that are out there educating our people on our bodies. And so
Exactly.
I
Cultural
can't see.
competency is key. And I
Yes,
think that's something that's a big, big misstep currently within providers right now, like OBGYNs across the board lack cultural competency.
they do. They
They
do.
really do.
So I
Just
was
doctors
watching.
in general.
They do. They do. So I was watching that, and I don't know if you guys had the opportunity to watch the Netflix series 1619, the 1619 Project.
Oh no, I
So
haven't
that
watched it yet. Yeah,
so that
Empress
started
was
all
telling me
this.
to watch it too.
You should watch it. So that started all that controversy about schools and the social equity program with schools and talking about things like slavery and like that. That's what a lot of these politicians were running on, is anti that 1619 project, because they didn't want our children to be educated about where they came from. They wanted to start it with, like, basically they wanted to stop hurting other children's feelings. So it was the way that it was presented was, you're hurting white kids' feelings by saying that, your ancestors may have been slavers, because that's just not cool and we don't do that no more. And that was blah, blah, blah decades ago. So, fuck it. Don't even worry about it anymore. Well, at the end of the day, we're starting to realize that, and this is what Black components have been saying, is that you have to let people know where they come from in order to build them up. And so just stripping our culture totally out of the books is just not the way to
Mm-hmm.
do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, during this whole thing, they talked about several different things. They talked about music, they talked about racism, they talked about a lot of different aspects of African American culture, specifically African American culture. One of the things that they talked about was how we interact with doctors. And so this young lady was telling the story of how she had lost one of her twins because the doctor wasn't listening. The
Mm.
doctor was a Caucasian woman and the doctor didn't hear her. They think that our pain tolerance is higher because I guess we were slaves and we were
And
out
we didn't have a choice but to
and
get
we didn't
cut
have a
open
choice.
all the damn time without no anesthesia. What we supposed to do?
But that doesn't mean that our tolerance is higher. There was a time where I was riding and I got into an accident and my leg was split down to the bone, right? And the doctor just went to start sewing, and I was like, aren't you going to give me a local anesthetic or something? And he was like, well, stop crying. And it was just like, they just don't respect the fact that we go through pain too.
Oh my
That's what I'm
goodness! You
getting at.
should have took all his info down.
That's what I'm getting at. So did y'all see the
Yeah,
man that created gynecology? Yeah, he was a savage. He was
yeah, he
cutting,
was.
yeah,
He was a
using
father.
black women.
Yep, he is. I will not even give his name a mention.
Yeah, and I understand why you don't agree with having male OBGYNs. No offense to the brothers out there that are practicing, but like, you guys focus on the prostate and let the sisters focus on
Off-
the
Offense. Stay in your lane.
stay in your lane.
I'm sorry. I don't have nothing else to say about that. Stay up in your lane. You do not have a vagina or uterus. You have nothing to say about it. Stay in
Girl,
your lane.
stay in your lane. You want to read
The
this
only
next
thing you
comment?
can say is, "Oh, I enjoy it."
Yes.
Oh, thank you for housing my child. Other than that, your lane,
Nothing
please.
else. Nothing else. So the next comment is, baby, my sister ran out of the room during my natural birth. The whole hospital heard me screaming. I didn't care at all. And it's a damn shame. We do suffer pain too. Hey, white people, black people hurt as well.
I love that for two reasons. One is because in the hospital, they want you to be quiet when you are having your birth.
Exactly.
Some women are loud and they need to be loud in order to get through it. Right?
That,
But they will try to hush you. Oh, shh, shh. So I'm glad you was like, nah, I don't care. I'm gonna be loud. And I always tell the mothers I'm with, if you want to be loud, be loud.
be loud as you
I
want.
got your back, girl. I got your back. Shh, nothing. You shush. Get out of here.
Exactly.
Okay.
They scared. There's a few people. Yeah, facts. Forget them. And yes, ma'am, I will. Oh, thanks again, King Payne. I'm definitely going to watch, and not black people. And facts. Let's go back to that. Not all black people got here on a slave ship either. They're an
I
indigenous
agree.
people
I
to this
agree.
country. To this country, a lot of black people may have been here already. So
And again, at the end of the day, I agree with y'all on all of that. But black bodies got black bodies got violated, whether they were slaves or not.
they did.
So
They did.
focusing on that aspect of it isn't really, I mean,
But we're
important
just
for the.
pointing it out, just to point it out, because
And I
we
hear you.
talked about
Definitely hear you.
19,
And
we
I,
talked
I feel
about
like it goes without saying, but I guess not for
no, but
everyone.
we do have to say that, because you think about them taking all this information out of the schools. We
Right.
have to start at the bare
Right.
minimum again.
You're right. You're right.
So,
You absolutely right about that. You absolutely right about that.
so let's talk about the last 15 minutes, and thank you guys for participating in that conversation. That was very in depth, and all the
Yeah, for
comments and
real.
everything. We
I
love it.
wasn't even expecting it to go there. Hey,
So let's talk about friends, man. Healthy ways to end some
friends,
relationships.
how many of us have them? You know we old.
Old school, baby. Old school.
Yeah, my babies are always in the background. Y'all, that's why y'all see me keep on muting and turning it off, because I'm a mommy of 6, and 2 of them are definitely home with me. So thank you, daughter of the Most High. That's what this is for, to be relatable, to let y'all know, like, I'm going after it, even if my babies are with me going after it.
Facts, ma'am. One monkey
But
don't
still
stop the show.
respecting their privacy.
One monkey don't stop the show.
You feel me? So, friendships, like we talking about platonic relationships, even brothers and sisters. Like, you come to this place when you're growing where you end a relationship.
Yeah.
I am not gonna lie to y'all. Most of all, my method is ghosting. I'm a ghoster. Like, I'll cut your ass off and we done. I done said what I had to say. I'm a ghoster. I'm guilty.
So I don't know if I necessarily ghost, but I do. Well, let's talk about yeah. So I think ghosting is at the point when it's just officially over. But how do you know? Like, at what point do you know that it's time to start pulling back? And I think that's the point where you.
Ooh, that's a good question.
That you're giving a lot more than you're receiving.
Exactly.
I mean? Like, the relationship is like 80-20. It's okay if it's 80-20 sometimes, because sometimes you gotta bear the brunt of the load. You know what I mean? But as long as you're able to lean on that person 80%, then I think that's. But like, at what point do you just be like, fuck this shit? It's just too much for me.
So for me, I'll say that if I've told you my concerns and you have apologized, but go right back to doing the things I told you that I was concerned about,
repeat offenders,
then I don't have time to have the conversation again. What is the point of us having the conversation again? Yeah. You feel me? People like to bring this scripture up, forgive your brother 70 times 7. It's not about it's forgiveness, yes, but you can't forgive your brother 70 times 7 for the same exact offense. That nigga don't feel sorry. He not sorry.
Who said it? Who fucked it up and said it? Bush did. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me. I ain't gonna get fooled but once. But fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And I think to what Rachel is saying, like, as you go through a relationship, if the person is a habitual offender, you know what I mean? Like, for instance, you got a girlfriend that's living with you, right? So your homegirl is staying with you because she done fell on hard times, whatever the case, that this person may be living with you. And she's staying with you and your man. Now, first of all, I personally probably wouldn't even go that far to have you in my home like that. But, let's say that you really done fell on some hard times. And I've asked you not to be wearing these booty shorts around my husband. And the first time you do it, I think, well, first of all, I think that you're fucking crazy and you're disrespectful to begin with. But if I have to ask you 2, 3, 4 times, then you got to go. And that's the end of the whole situation for me. I'm talking about like habitual offenders. And I was talking about, like, if you've got a friend that's staying with you and you've asked them to cover themselves up when they're around your man and they continue to walk around in inappropriate clothing, then that is a reason to be like, yo, man, I've already asked you, we've had this conversation, you may have to leave. And
I
that may be the end of
mean,
the
you should have
friendship.
been deaded them if they was the kind of friend that you have to
To
ask
say
not to
something like that
wear
anyway.
inappropriate clothes around your person in the first place. You feel me? Like you should never have to ask your
You
person.
shouldn't have to ask him anyway.
Then
But I'm just
exactly,
using
they
that
should
as
know
an
the rules.
example of something to bring up that's that serious that you could dead a friendship over. You know what I mean? So,
Hmm.
daughter of the guy says, of the God says, yes, that's me. She's like you. Once I curse you, I'm out. I'm good. Yeah. Once I'm done having I mean, that's a Virgo trait. Once we say what we got to say, we kind of finish with it. We don't want to have that same conversation again. It's kind of over. When the disrespect is super off the chain, my ex was a super cheater. He didn't care about his health, so he didn't care about mine. I'm good. Yeah. On that note, you definitely got to dead that relationship. And yeah, that's some foul shit. You know what I'm saying? So I think we all know about when it comes to a point where
Exactly.
we
I was
got to
gonna
be done.
say, so we know reasons to end relationships, but what's healthy ways? Because I ain't gonna lie to y'all, I am after I said what I said, it is pretty much dead silence at that point.
Yeah, yeah.
So do you have another way since people consider that ghosting, even though I don't, because I feel like I said what I said? We
Well,
should
I
have
think
ended
for a
it.
relationship, and I'm just going to jump through these comments really quick, and then I'm going to answer your question. The key is
Mhm.
actionable. The words must match the behavior. Yeah, yeah. The real, thanks for joining us. The real, we appreciate you being on here with us. Enabling is the primary problem. Yeah, yeah. And if you have to, yes, you're facts. You do have to remove them. I think that and I'll go ahead and read this last comment, and then I'm going to answer your question. The real, cut that lifeline off and let God handle them. I had 3 kids by a man and tried my best to stick it out, but I couldn't. It let it cost me my peace and happiness. And I think that's when you really know that you've got to let that shit go, right? When it's starting to cost you your frame of mind, your peace, your happiness, your sense of just calmness, right? So I think that one of the things that I don't like to forget is that any type of relationship, you have to go through a grieving process, right? You've got to go through the fact that, even though that relationship may have been a strain and it may have been a pain in the ass the whole way, the fact of the matter is that you've given something of yourself into this relationship. And so you've got to go through the process of saying, I've got to look at me and kind of tone this down, but I've also got to realize what this person gave me that I needed from them and figure out either another way to get it or how to self-soothe so that you're not looking for that in the next person, right? I can't hear you, sis.
Yeah, my bad. Fam. I was saying also why you even need whatever you're getting from them in the first place, because it may be like a toxic need. You feel me?
Yeah,
Like you may
facts.
be addicted to something. You know what I mean? It may be trauma based. You
And
know,
people, let's just keep it a buck. Like, people are addicted to toxicity. There are people out there that are addicted to toxic situations, and they bring
and
you down.
narcissists.
And narcissists, and they drag you into the same fight that they're having, and it's bullshit. Like, and you've got to be able to remove yourself from that situation and not let that thing bring
Yeah,
you down.
daughter of the Most High is right. You may be codependent, she said.
Yeah, yeah. So I say, talk about it if you want someone close to you until you get tired of hearing about it. Yeah, but the problem is, and sometimes, and I like that, talk about it till you get tired of hearing about it. But then you also have to take in consideration that they may be tired of hearing about that shit too.
And also, some people really don't get tired of hearing about it because, bro, like people have talked to me about the same thing over and over, and it'll be for years. And it's
I
I'm
know
looking at them like, are you kidding me right now?
I'm a habitual offender of that. I will bring up some shit that happened in 1982 because I haven't let it go. But that's another thing that we have to learn to do is let it go. Like, once you're kind of done with it, have you really gotten to a place where you're able to let it go? Are you telling yourself that you're letting it go, but in the back of your mind, it's still there and it still comes out in conversation and it still comes out in other ways? And you've got to be able to heal yourself enough. So sometimes that means picking up another hobby. Sometimes it means picking up another friend. Sometimes that means picking up a book. Cry if you need to. Facts. Sometimes crying is sometimes crying. Sometimes you have to go through the cry. You know? because it is a grieving situation. You've lost something that at some point was valuable to you, and that's the reason you got to go through the process of getting rid of it. Like, how many associates do you ever really ghost? You rarely ghost an associate because they don't matter that much. But if you're going through a situation with a friend or somebody that you cared about, then that's a heavy situation, and you've got to get through the grieving process.
Exactly. And I was gonna say, I saw this, speaking of grief, because we were talking about that last week. I saw this really good idea, and it's actually something that I do, and I didn't realize other people knew about it. So the guy's wife died. It's on this show called Shrinking. The guy's wife died, and his therapist, because he's a therapist, so he has a coworker that's a therapist, and the coworker advised him. He was like, "Listen, you need to get through this grief, but it seems like you're dragging and it's moving too slow. Here's what a suggestion for you to do: go home,
Uh-huh.
on some music, and or whatever the saddest song that you know, like that really moves you, and for 15 minutes just ugly cry till you can't cry no more. 15 minutes straight, don't stop." That shit work.
It did.
It works. It works. I do it like I do it regularly. It's very cathartic. Just because I like to regulate my emotions, and sometimes I don't have any reason to cry, but you feel backed up emotionally. So I do, put on some sad songs and just ball it out. But I didn't know like it could be
People
used
actually,
in
yeah.
terms of, yeah. So I just thought that that was a really cool thing, and I think that
The
more
saddest
people should know
song or
about
the
it.
saddest movie, I guess.
You could put on a sad movie. You could put on a sad song. I prefer music because I don't really want to see nobody. You know.
I prefer music too, but at the end of the day, sometimes it's nice seeing, and I guess it's just as a Virgo thing in me. Sometimes it's nice seeing somebody else go through it, so I could cry through their pain, releasing my own. Girl, it ain't just me. It ain't just me going through it. It's other people too. Not established in '87. What you mean, not 1982?
You say you hold stuff back from
Oh, from
1980.
1982. Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, yeah. Hey, and this coming from the woman who had a book of grievances. Yeah, I'm putting your business
I
out
said that book is gone, damn it.
there. Yeah, I usually talk to my sister and she talks to me. Then we're both like, yeah, it's time to release. I know, I know. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's what you need, community. You have to have
You
your
have to
village.
have a strong
It's
community.
important. But what if your village, your sister were the person who you would grieve in that relationship over? You know what I mean? Like,
Then a therapist. Get a therapist.
agree?
Yeah.
Definitely.
And
Definitely.
people are a lot of times your health insurance will cover your therapy. And a lot of jobs have like therapy and things like that, just so that you have, if you get to the point where you got to release, a lot of jobs have employee health or employee assistance programs, and they provide you with the beginning stages of therapy, and that is
Hmm.
all at no cost. Relationships and related supports, yeah, go to the movies, yes, yes, but both ends must meet in the mindset is what the real says. Crying.
Honestly, my biggest advice is process your emotions properly. Give your space to process your emotions properly. Not enough attention is paid to people processing their emotions in healthy ways. Like, emotions are a normal part of life.
Yeah,
It's when you indulge too much in one emotion, that's when things get crazy. And when people are in pain, their first go to is anger. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? Which leads to a lot of trouble. So
potentially
again,
jail time depending on how angry you are and what the hell happened.
again, I say process your emotions properly. However, all of these tools that people are like putting in the chat, they're great ways to actually actively process your emotions. Go to the movies, watch some shit, cry, laugh. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Compartmentalize. That's a dangerous
it can be
place.
dangerous. Yeah,
So I don't recommend it to anybody just because you keep stuffing stuff in compartments and not dealing with it. It definitely can lead to explosions. So just be careful with that.
there's an
But if it
overflow.
works for
If you're
you,
compartmentalizing and you're compartmentalizing work all the time, and you're not dealing with whatever's going on with someplace else, that shit can overflow, and then you find out that you're talking about situations that don't even apply to the person, but they get cussed out for everything.
exactly.
So you got you got to be, yeah, emotional feeling must apply logic. Yeah, yeah. And that's another thing. I mean, females don't necessarily, and that was a discussion that we were having at one point. We're going to talk about it as far as like, how people react.
You want
But yeah, being able to apply logic is a big deal. But men do it better than females, you know, because we get in our emotions and we're typically in the moment. But our brothers are able to apply logic. Sometimes
I don't. I disagree with you, and I feel like it's not as simple as that because there's
it's
a
not cut and dry, but
it,
yeah, it
we have emotional intelligence. There is not. You can't just like. I don't feel like even logic and emotion are even separate from each other. If you're a highly, if you're a fully developed person who has the ability to process correctly. So I don't think they should be separate.
they're not necessarily separate, but there are different approaches to how people interact. So, like and yes, we do typically get
And
the
if you
short
want
end
to
of
go
the
from the
stick with,
logic standpoint, I'm saying men have logic, they have logic, but they lack emotional intelligence, and that
and
is
that's what I was saying.
highly to their detriment.
So you just repeated basically what I was getting at. Yeah, thanks.
We did it to each other.
And I can agree with facing it head on. Yeah, I have children to raise and things to do. Sister, tell me about it.
Tell it. We
I don't
always
like to
we
waste too
always
much time
got things to do.
dwelling
We
on
ain't got time
something
for the
who
BS.
didn't mean any. Yep, facts. So yeah. You do. You have to do a lot of introspective reflection. Yeah, and others do add stress if you're allowing them to be that stressor, or you're allowing them to have that control. You know, self care
Agree.
helps too, and that's why we talk a lot about self care. We
We
have
do.
intentional
We
moments
do.
and things like that.
That
So
is a big part of my practice. I definitely help women, black women specifically, find ways to take care of themselves in lasting and sustainable ways. So you talking my language, daughter of the most high God.
yes, you are. Yes, you are. And yeah, women are or men are extrinsic and women are intrinsically. Yeah. And I think that, yeah, because if you're dealing, and I have a lot of male friends, and so like if I go to them complaining about something that's happened in my relationship, they really don't want to hear. They want to hear the beginning, the end. They want to hear facts. They don't care about, and he looked
I
like
agree,
blah blah blah
but
when he said
details matter. But details matter, and they don't
details
realize that.
matter.
Yeah,
Details matter, but and it's just the way that we communicate differently.
agree,
Yeah,
agree.
women
I
are
agree
more
a
so.
hundred percent.
So,
I agree.
but at the end of the day, man, that was a pretty. Thank you guys. You guys were so awesome today, man. We've had a great show, and we appreciate you
Absolutely,
guys for all of that.
absolutely, Dayril. We definitely balance is what we all seek in life. Well, at least those of us who trying to live healthy, functional lives. Balance is the key.
Balance is
Yeah,
needed. Balance is definitely needed.
yeah,
And on that note, we
yeah.
appreciate you guys logging in today. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe,
And
uh,
share.
and share. And until the next time, thank you for joining us with Cypher Sisters. Don't forget to have your cipher wherever. Bring some topics. Let us know what you want to talk about. Don't forget to join our group, Cypher Sisters, on Facebook, and follow us on Instagram. Thanks again, and you guys have a fabulous day. God bless everybody. Bye bye.
Bye.